Thank you all. So I put as a loose topic how to fix the world. And I'm interested in your takes on that, what you feel. And I know that sounds like kind of a broad kind of like, how to fix the world. But seriously, like theory of change is a big and complicated issue. And often people have very different theories of change. For example, some people believe electoralism is really the way to go. That's how we're going to do it. That's how we're going to fix this world. And I'm not one of those. I think that, as you probably know, I think that the two corporate parties are a joke and they don't stand for us anymore. And so by picking Biden or Trump or Obama or Hillary, we're going to have some massive change that's going to save a collapsing environment, collapsing lives for many people, is to me a laughable idea. I think the big change is going to come from ideas that are outside of that. I want to see your opinion. So I will start off by reading what Nudge Nick said. He says, local organization with a global outlook. So organization, he means organizing, not organizations, but organizing people. Local organizing with a global outlook. I like that. Maybe a good example would be Extinction Rebellion. They have a global outlook, but most of their organizing has to do with, the city they're in. Thank you, Nudge Nick, for your thoughts. I agree with a lot of that, or all of it, maybe. I think organizing with a global outlook, organizing locally, but having a global outlook is hugely important. C.S. Sandy says we need left unity. I largely agree with that. I think that it works into the ruling elites' systems. Sorry to get so close to you right there. I was a close talker for a minute. You could probably smell my breath. It works to their systems that the left, and maybe it's not just the left, but the left breaks itself apart on one tiny issue here or there that they disagree on, we disagree on, and you can disagree violently on a topic. So I do that kind of thing. Like I don't pull punches, I guess would be the expression. But to then say, and therefore I can never work with you on things going forward, even things I stand for. To me, that's idiocy. So, yeah, I think we do need more unity. Let's see, Free to 77. What we need now is a new anti-war movement. It has to be unpolarized, if the word exists. Depolarized? Unified? I don't know. The opposite of polarity is unity. Therefore, I think it has to be a single issue movement. Well, I don't know if I agree with that, because I think that if you are anti-war, then you should be against the military-industrial complex, which means you should be against, let's say, the weapons contractors that rule our government, which in many ways largely means you should be against corporate governance in general, corporations owning our government. So I don't know why you wouldn't also be against big pharma owning our government or big oil owning our government. Also, it gets complicated because if you're only an anti-war person, well, a lot of our wars have to do with gaining resources, right? They have to do with, for a long time, it had to do with oil. I think that it's grown beyond oil now, but, oil, mining, lithium, minerals. So to be opposed to big oil is in many ways to be anti-war, at least in the American sense. So I think these things intertwine. I don't know if to be an anti-war activist, you need to say, and I'm not talking about anything else. Also, our wars are racist wars. They are wars of white supremacy. You notice we're far more willing to endlessly bomb countries that are not heavily white than we are white countries. So there's a lot of racism involved there. So does it really make sense to say I'm anti-war, but I do not want to talk about racism? Don't care, not about it. I don't know. So there are my 2 cents. I could be wrong. I'm kidding. I'm never wrong. Ketosis83 says marketing has a hole. Wow, you're a poet, Ketosis. I like it. I'm feeling it. But marketing keeps those, I think you mean who have the ability to help bound to addiction of spending. Well said. I don't hear a lot of them talking about marketing. I don't hear a lot of them talking about the harms of endless advertising, because who has the most money? Who has the most power to endlessly advertise, to endlessly manipulate our brains, to flood, to wallpaper our consciousness with their fucking ads, pushing their nonsense, which we believe doesn't affect us. Oh, I'm not impacted by those ads. Yeah, you fucking are. We all are. If we see them, if we take them in. Yeah, maybe not if it's, you're less impacted if it's a fleeting billboard that you didn't even look at. Yes, a little bit of your subconscious caught it, but maybe not that much. But if you really watch an ad or see an ad for something, or see your favorite celebrity or your favorite sports star wearing the logo and that kind of thing, it does impact us, whether we like it to or not. And these are the companies and the corporations with the most power in the world, almost never discussed. There's almost no criticism of advertising. And a lot of that has to do with where the bread's buttered, right? Is that an expression? Yeah, where they get their bread buttered or where they get their butt breaded. That's what it is. So where people get their butt breaded is means a lot. There's an incentive for them not to go after these corporations because most of them are funded by these corporations in one way or another. They're not going to go after any of the big advertisers, the big sponsors, whether it's Walmart or Coca-Cola or McDonald's or Raytheon. So you end up in a situation where there's a defensive mechanism to protect all of these massive corporations. And very few people on the left or in general talk about the harm of marketing, the harm of advertising. So thank you, Ketosis, for that comment. Ketosis also says the human mind does not multitask well. Walking, talking, and breathing is already a lot. Yeah. Sometimes I find myself walking, talking, and breathing, and I just pass out from the complication of it all. You can see how advertising and marketing has these impacts that ripple throughout our society. R.S. Jacob says bankers control major corporations by owning, controlling stock, and having bankers on their board. They are dependent then on loans from the banks. The bankers rule. Yeah, I think that's largely true. The bankers do rule, but like bankers want their profit at the end of the day, no matter what. The bankers might not care if their profit came from, let's say, big oil versus windmills, but they're going to go where the power is because that's where the most money is. So they're going to go where the most money and power is, and the most money and power is with the oil right now. I mean, we're in the middle of this climate change chaos, catastrophe, crisis. All the great C words are happening at once. I won't say the worst C words that are happening at once. We're in the middle of that, and yet our society is changing so slowly because the money says don't change. The money says status quo is where it's at because the money got there in this system. So they don't want to change it. Either Redreamer or Red Reamer. Red Reamer sounds rough. One thing I notice since I lived in the USA is that it's difficult to connect as a community. There is a really systemic disconnection beyond hyper-individualism. I think instead of beyond, they mean because of hyper-individualism, since the system encourages independence and separation, and as a control of population method, it really works. I love this point, and I say this point often. I'm not often able to say whether it's only America because I have spent most of my life, born and bred in America, spent most of my life living in America. I've done little tours of the UK and stuff like that, and Canada, but what I know about is the United States. So I have definitely noticed this and talked about this on my shows, but I can't necessarily speak for other cultures. However, in the United States, it's perhaps one of the worst, where there is so little community. People are atomized and separated in such a strong and large and deep way that there is no help, there is no community, and it's so hard to organize, it's so hard to get people together. And that's part of the reason that I wanted to do this, to be on Locals, which is what you guys are obviously joining me on right now. If you happen to see this video somewhere else, please join me at LeeCamp.Locals.com. Ditchnell says, do you think we'll ever reach a point where the masses finally start dragging those running the show out into the streets and dealing with them? And how bad will it need to get for this to spark off? Well, I will say, it's not that I don't love the idea of the ruling elite finally getting their comeuppance, as it's called, finally dealing with the results, the ramifications, the harms of what they've caused. But I don't think that really can be the goal to create large-scale change. Just saying we're going to drag, let's say, Jeff Bezos out of his fucking 12th mansion, off his island, out of his yacht that has another yacht inside of it, and away from his slave laborers that have other slave laborers inside of them, and like drag him out and beat the shit out of him. It's not like I wouldn't, be like, it's kind of cool. But that's not going to change the system. The moment Jeff Bezos is gone, you'll have a new Jeff Bezos. The moment a CEO steps down from one of these companies, in the rare case that they say, you know what, I can't even do this anymore, I am out, and they leave, guess what? There's a new sociopath right there to take their place. Because this is a system that uniquely puts sociopaths at the top, and they are always a new one ready to take that spot. So you have to change the economics of it. You have to change the system. And this gets, again, I'm glad we keep circling back to the broader topic here, to how to create large-scale change. We have to build up the alternative systems. We have to build up the systems that crush capitalism. Build up and you see sparks of them. I admit they're small, but you see sparks of them here and there, whether it be people using barter system, whether it be mutual aid that is not just nonprofit, but there's not even money exchanged. It's just during the pandemic, I was able to help out with mutual aid groups in Washington, D.C. And it was just whoever could showed up, whoever could donated. And to buy food, there was no money exchange between people, but it was to buy food to give to people. And we just showed up and we created shopping bags of food for people. And that was it. It was that complicated, or that uncomplicated. These are the alternatives. I think you have to build up those alternatives. Who was it? There's a famous quote of people can view the end of the world far easier than they can view the end of capitalism. And at first I thought it was kind of funny, and now I realize, oh no, it's 100% true. We talk about the end of the world could come soon, all the time, right? You probably talk with your friends about how it could come from nuclear war soon. We talk with friends about how it could come from climate change and severe drought and all this awfulness that we're seeing. We talk about the end of the world all the time. We talk about it from asteroids. Talk about the end of the world in various ways all the time. But people act like the end of capitalism is unthinkable. It's been around in a large way, and we act like there is no alternative and never could be, other than capital, currency, fake wealth, fiat wealth running the world. It's insanity. It's total insanity, and we act like there is no alternative that could ever take its place. And that's simply not true. Anyway, I should really move on to the next comment. Katosa says, going back to marketing, the belief in Bitcoin is exactly what this system wants. Another carrot for the donkeys to follow. Katosis, you strike me as a zeitgeist lover. Are you a zeitgeist man? Because I'm into the zeitgeist too. Another carrot for the donkeys to follow. The horse shit has been around since 2009. Since then, we've seen multiple wars, a pandemic. So it has to be very strong force to keep people focused away from the destruction. So yeah, Peter Joseph is a strong hater. My buddy Peter Joseph is a strong hater of Bitcoin. And his argument against it is not that I've heard, maybe I'm wrong, but is not that it's not a modicum better than centralized banking. But the thing is, Bitcoin does not solve all the world's problems. There are, and I'll go back to my opinion. I don't want to speak for Peter that much, but my opinion, there are slight benefits to Bitcoin, such as decentralized, such as those who are unbanked in various societies are able to exchange funds. You can get around national borders, and national borders are hooking in our imagination. I mean, as is Bitcoin in most ways. So you get around national borders, which is a good thing. It's less trackable, which is a good thing. So there's a lot of benefits to it. Also, they claim it's deflationary. It cannot be like dollars, where the U.S. government just jizzes out as many as they ever want. So there are some benefits, but Peter's point, and I think it's a substantial one, is that it will not solve what capitalism is. If you switched all of capitalism over to Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency tomorrow, you would still have capitalism. You would still have everyone fighting for profit over all else, over health, over environment, over fucking everything. You would still have a rotten to the core, shitty system on Bitcoin. So those who act like Bitcoin is going to save our planet, save our world, save our societies, that is incorrect. Are there some benefits which I think are worthwhile? Yeah. Even though I know it's worthwhile, I still say worthwhile often. I think it sounds more fun. It sounds kind of crazy, right? Like it's worthwhile. Yeah, how great is that? Well, it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. So much better than worthwhile. Worthwhile sounds like you're sitting around. Oh, it's worth a while. It's worthwhile we're here. No, it's worthwhile. But anyway, I'm a fan of the slight benefits of Bitcoin, but I am not one of the evangelists who thinks it's going to solve capitalism. So there you go. So Jim talks about how much energy Bitcoin uses. I know Bitcoin does use a lot of energy, but there are good arguments kind of refuting the fact that it uses more energy than dollars. I mean, if you look at the amount of energy being used in the world and the amount of destruction and climate change being caused, most of it's being caused with dollars or whatever currency a country has. So to be like, Bitcoin's the problem, I don't know, it's arguable. I mean, energy-wise, it's arguable. Katosis says Bitcoin had potential, but it's used as gambling. No, I think to say Bitcoin had potential and is used, but is used as gambling means Bitcoin operates within a capitalist system, and capitalism is largely gambling. So anything that operates within that system is going to be used in that way. We have to change. We have to have a revolution of the mind in many ways to get beyond our profit over all else landscape. Siberian Tiger is being very funny. He or she says, my money is not trackable because I only have a bit of coin. And thanks for joining me on Locals. For those of you who are maybe watching, but you're not a member of Locals, please become a member. And if you want to test it out, you can become a member for free by using the promo code KEEPFIGHTING, all caps. All right. Thank you guys so much. Keep fighting.